What's up, folks? Welcome back to another edition of The Loop. It's your man, DJ CEO. Um, it's been fun thus far. It's been fun. And today I have a super talented guest, super talented MC. And we both share very weird history and the fact that, well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But the dude got tons of projects out. He is a lyrical beast, respected by many, and a Brooklyn representative. Let's welcome to the show, to the loop, my man, Skyzoo. What up, brother?
Peace. What's up, bro?
I'm good, man. We're both Brooklyn boys, no longer living in the city. You out there in the A.
Yeah, says a lot.
Yeah, you out there in the A, I'm in Vegas. And the A's good? The A's treating you well?
Yeah, it's dope, man. It got dope weather. We got, 50 flavors of wings. You know what I'm saying? So it's just too much pollen, man. I got allergies, so the pollen game is insane. But I love it here, though. It's dope, man. Atlanta definitely got a piece of my heart. It's dope.
Nice. So we're gonna get this. We're gonna get started on as I look at my notes. We're gonna get started on our very unique. It's a weird history that you and I are from the exact same neighborhood, have been in the exact same places, played ball in the exact same courts, know a lot of the same people, and did not meet until we were adults.
Or didn't even remember it. You know what I'm saying? Like we might have been on the court at Emerson together and just didn't know it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then 20 years later, it's like you used to hoop at Emerson too. You know what I mean? So like, it's this bug, man. The world is crazy, man. Like
that is very crazy. And before we're gonna get into the upbringing and just kind of growing up in Brooklyn, and particularly the neighborhood of Clinton Hills that has fostered and birthed so many amazing, talented people. This is a quick backstory, very fun. I think it's hilarious of how we even how I even realized who you were. At the time, your current wife, your wife now, Courtney, who's a great friend of mine, I've known for years. You guys were dating, and when she introduced you to me, you had met us at Peaches with Shireen, and you were and you were like, oh, this is my boyfriend Skylar. I was like, yo, what's up, man? Well, ain't not thinking nothing of it. Mind you, at the same time, I'm just now kind of getting into your music. A mutual friend of ours, my boy Marvin, had put me on to you, and I was like, all right, cool, and I think now we kicking it, just chilling, and then I do my final New Year's Eve party as a resident New Yorker, and you're at the party, you and Courtney at the party, and we flicking it up, taking flicks, and then you post a picture of us at the party, and I remember looking down at my phone going, the fuck? Wait, you're Skyzoo?
Yeah, I remember that night. Yeah,
because at no moment at that point, I hadn't really seen any pictures. I hadn't really kind of dug who you were. I was just kind of listening to the music and people were putting me on, so I had no idea who you were. And then it was just, we just kind of kicking it, and then I was like, yo, bruh, I'm a fan. Like, I didn't even know this is you.
Right.
That's how I officially okay, cool. That's what it is. So that's
crazy. I remember that night.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And then we've been rocking ever since.
And we were rocking ever since. So Clinton Hills, man. Now what street were you on?
St. James.
St. James in
between Gates and Green.
All right. St. James between Gates and Green is it's a landmark. I mean, basically of a street. St. James in general, just a block up is where the Notorious B.I.G. is from. Chubb Rock is from the same neighborhood. DJ Premier used to live on Washington between Gates and Green, as well as Matty C from The Source. That neighborhood, that block in particular.
Neighborhood was crazy. Chubb was on my block. And then I remember when he shouted us out on the record, he was like,
Yeah.
shout out to all the kids on St. James. We was
Yeah.
like, yeah, because we
Yeah.
was the kids, you know what I mean? Like, we was the little kids, yeah.
Yeah. Just you as a young kid, kind of growing up, like, just tell us what that was about, how, and also kind of incorporate, if you can, like some of your musical influences, because outside of just hip hop bubbling in this like 4 or 5 block radius, I'm sure you're getting like other influences and other things that are kind of shaping you as a kid growing up. So just kind of talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I moved to the neighborhood when I was like 10, right? Like I was born in Crown Heights in Ebbsfield Projects. That was my first home. And then I moved to the hood when I was 10, and I claimed the hood because that's where I really started coming into my own. You know what I mean? When you're 5, 6 years old, you don't know nothing, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
when you like 9, 10 years old is when everything kind of starts clicking, and whatever happens around you is what shapes you. So that's why that's home for me. You know what I mean? Ebbsfield is, where I first came up living in the P's on the 18th floor and all that. Later on in high school, my pops moved to South Jamaica, Queens, so I was out there back and forth. But St. James is home for me. You know what I'm saying? St. James is everything for me, And growing up, man, like you said, the neighborhood, it always felt like Do the Right Thing and Crooklyn all in one.
Yeah.
So when I started making music, my music embodied that, because my music was always about whatever's going on around me, whoever's around me, my interactions and dealings with it, and how it impacted me or didn't impact me or whatever it is. My music has always been like a big sociology project. So that's going to be a part of it, wherever I'm at, whatever I'm doing or I'm dealing with. So my music always felt like that, and from the Brownstones to, you heard Big say 88 on Gates, snatching issue nameplates. Like, it was a different era back then, you know what I mean? Like, when we was kids growing up, it wasn't the St. James and Waverly and Washington that heads know now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
PS 11 Park was a different beast. Like, Emerson was a different beast. I went to Emerson because they had mad courts and they always had nets. You know what I mean? Like, PS 11 never had no net, and there was only 2 rims. You know what I'm saying? So
rims at that.
Exactly, 2 half courts, and and you needed a net. They ain't had no net, so you hit the joint and you arguing with Duke like, yo, I hit that. No, you didn't, and then it turned into something else. So you know what I mean? Like, I seen people get whipped out on PS 11 for that. You know what I mean? Like, so we used to go to Emerson. But long story short, the neighborhood was and still is everything. You know what I mean? Like, I feel most at home there.
Right. Now, did you go to 11? Where'd you go to elementary school?
Nah, I went to PS 261, which is over by Gowanus.
Okay.
Yeah, over by Gowanus Projects. Yeah.
And then where'd you go to junior high school?
I went to junior high. I went to Clinton School for Writers and Artists, which was in Manhattan, and then I went to ICE for high school in Manhattan, Institute for Collaborative Education. So most of my schooling, I went to school in Manhattan.
Okay.
Elementary, I went to 261 because my parents was big on, we live here, but you should be exposed to more. You know what I mean? So I always, junior high and high school, I went to school in Manhattan.
Okay. So what were you listening to, like musical influence?
Oh man, my parents was young, so my parents had me when they was 19 and 20, and my pops was 20, my mother was 19, so my parents was young. So when I was 7, they was 26, 27s, right? So like, all I heard was NWA, BDP, Play, Bell Biv DeVoe, Tribe Called Quest. Like, that was what I heard. You know what I mean? Because my parents were so young, and so I was always, hip hop was always around me, one way or another. But I started rhyming when I was 9 years old because of Chi Ali.
Wow.
Saw Chi Ali, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number on Video Music Box, and I was done. The moment the video went off, and I know you had Ralph on. I told Ralph this story years ago, and Ralph's the homie now, and he loved it. Said, man, I'm so happy that I was able to impact you somehow. Like, that's dope. Whatever.
Right.
Every Saturday, Video Music Box, like always, and it came on, and when it went off, I was like, Ma, that's what I want to do. And that was it. So Chi was everything, you know what I mean? But, it started with Chi Ali and all the kid rappers in the moment, Chris Cross, and, because I was a kid. But I was always about the pen, you know what I mean? No matter what, I was always about the pen, even at a young age. And as I got older, you know, by the time I was in junior high school, it was the Genius and Ray and, you know, Ghost. And, of course, Biggie being from St. James. Biggie was a god, you know what I mean? And Nas and, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what your first rhyme was?
No, not at all. But I remember looking out the window because when I started rhyming, I was still living in the P's. Like, I was still in Crown Heights. So we lived on the 18th floor. So I remember looking out the window of the 18th floor, overlooking the playground and, you know, scuffles going on and dice games, regular, you know, early 90s nonsense, whatever, regular early 90s things that happened in the hood, and just writing about that. I don't remember the rhyme, but it was about what was happening out the window.
So at what point, so you're right, and you said about 9 or 10, and at that point, I'm sure you just don't stop. Like, you continue writing for, you know, up
Oh,
until,
yeah, that was it. That was
until
it.
this day. At some point, you know, for all of us who are creatives or whatever it is that, even if you're not a creative, there's something that you're going after, whether you're a ball player or an
Right.
artist, right?
Any type of dream.
Any type of dream. At some point, you have that moment where you realize, like, yo, I'm nice with this. Like, I can really do something with this. Like, do you remember what that moment was like? Is it something that you realized yourself? Was it a cosign that came from somebody else? Or
Right. I wanted it right away, whether I realized I was nice or if I was actually nice or if I just thought I was, whatever it was. When I was 9 years old, I wanted it like, right away. You know, I saw it and I was like, that's it. I remember telling my mother that's what I want to do. And she was like, yeah, go for it. You know, just being supportive. 9 years old, like, you ain't really thinking your kid is going to do it. But she ain't shoot me down. You know what I mean? She was like, yeah, go for it. So right away, I wanted it. When I realized I was dope, I might have been like 10, 11. Because I remember being in school, you know, fifth, sixth grade, and like, yo, do the thing where you could just rap and say whatever's off your head and just, yeah, do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all the kids would come to me at recess and be like, yo, do that. And I would like rhyme about whatever some girl was wearing or make a joke about somebody's sneakers rhyming. And I was like 11 years old, you know what I mean? So I knew, like, and I think we had a little talent show or whatever when I was like in sixth grade. And, you know, I knew, I was like, oh, this is it. You know what I mean? So, and then wherever I went, I was always, you know, whatever school I was in, or if I went to the park or whatever, I was always the nicest rapper. Like, in the neighborhood, in St. James, whatever, like, it's Big as far as nice with the pen. Like, it's Biggie, of course. And then, like, after Big, nobody really was on it like that, you know, outside of me. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, and I'll tell whoever that around the way, it's whatever. You know what I mean? So, you know, but like when I was in school, I was always the nicest rapper. Like, so I knew I was like, yo, this is it. Like, you know, this is what I'm on. You know what I
mean? And so, because I know you said you went to the junior high school you went to was pretty much for artists.
Yep. Yeah.
So this is something that you kind of picked on your own, or this is like, again, your mom or your parents kind of like pushing you
The
in the
school,
direction?
yeah. My junior high school, my parents picked it. You had to either write or paint and draw. No, you had to be a writer or an artist, and you had to take a test to get in. So I took you had to write an essay. Like, if you wrote, you had to write an essay. If you did art, you had to paint or do some sculpture or whatever. So I wrote an essay and whatever, and I got into school. But they picked the school, you know what I mean? Because even before I started rhyming, I always wrote. Like, I was in kindergarten, and my English would be A+ in kindergarten. You know what I mean? I was always a writer. It was always literature. That was always me. You know what I mean? That was God given. So whether I rhymed or not, it was going to be something in the literary form. So, you know, I went to school for that. I went to junior high for that. And it just so happened that played a hand in the rhyming.
Of
You know what
course.
I mean?
Of
Yeah.
course. So when you're young, right? You're young and you're rhyming and you're kind of like getting better. Like, just like anybody else, when you're kind of learning something, you usually, without even thinking about it, you emulate, you know, some of
Of
your
course.
favorites, right?
Absolutely.
So when you first started, like, who was your style pattern after?
When I was 9, it was definitely like Chi Ali and Crisscross, because I was, you know, 9 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
man, I still was turning all the lights on in the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I still didn't want to be in no room with the light off. You know what I mean? So
Right.
when I was that young, you know, it was the kids. You know what I'm saying? But by the time I was like, you know, 12, 13, it was Nas all day. It was Biggie, of course. It was the Genius. I thought Liquid Swords was like the greatest thing ever. a lot of Ray and, you know, all that, Raekwon and all that. And then Jay later, you know, because Jay was like 96.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I remember a lot of it was Illmatic, man. I remember the first time I heard Illmatic, and I talked about it on Penny Jerseys on Retropolitan. You got over there behind you.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about it on Penny Jerseys. Was like the first time I heard that album was at PS11 Park. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Playing ball at PS11. You know, when back in the day, we ain't had no cell phones and all that. You stayed outside all day.
Right.
So we would be on PS11 court all day. You know what I mean? Like, all day. We go across the street to the Chinese spot and come right back. All day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, you can hear a whole album while you play ball. You know what I mean? Like,
very true.
we wasn't leaving. We play, we lose, all right, we wait it out, and we get the next run. We win, we keep running. You know what I mean? So I heard the whole album A to Z, you know, at PS11 Park when I was 12 years old. You know what I mean? And that was it. I think the next day or a couple of days later, I was able to get $10 from my pop somehow and go to Beach Street, take the bus to Beach Street and cop the tape. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So
that's crazy because the first time I heard Reasonable Doubt, the album, I was at Emerson Park playing.
Okay.
And there's another situation, especially like with the older heads, they come in with the boom box or whatever.
Right.
The music is just playing and you out there all day and you just
and you hear it.
And I remember feeling it like for the first time. And like it stopped me in my tracks. Like I had got chills because of the depiction that Jay was creating in that song was like I could relate to by association of my older cousin. Like my older cousin had a Lex at the time, you know, so I'll be hanging out with him and just like imagine like just cruising in the Lex and doing whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the basketball courts, particularly, especially in Brooklyn, especially in that neighborhood, you can get Source Money used to be in Emerson Park hooping.
I don't think I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be in Emerson Park hooping, and you know, it's a lot. It's just those playground sessions aside from basketball, like kind of just introduced us to like a whole lot. And it's,
because the park is like not because the park is like, you know, it's like a light that draws everything to it, right? So like you go to the park, heads is playing ball, you know, you either you playing ball or you on the bench rolling up, or you parked right next to the park. You know what I'm saying? So how we heard the album, probably how you heard it as well. How I heard Illmatic, heads was parked right next to the park with the whip parked or whatever, and the windows down and the joint blaring while they was leaning on the whip. And that was all we knew, you know what I mean? So that was the speaker, was the car, was the Q45 Infiniti, or, you know, the Land Cruiser Jeep or whatever it was that was bumping the joint, and you playing ball while it's playing on repeat and whatever. So it's the same thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So you rhyming, you're doing your thing, and at some point you start to get some attention because your first project release, the mixtape, was what, back in 2004?
I had like little local mixtapes like 2002, 3, 4, but the first project I put out that was me up and coming, but it was kind of everywhere, and it started the snowball was Cloud 9, which was the EP I did with Ninth. That was 06.
Okay.
Everything before that was like really local, like
but Ghetto Celebrity,
African spot, and you know about Ghetto Celebrity,
yeah. So Ghetto Celebrity was for 2004 though.
That was 04, yeah.
Right. So is that your first mixtape, or was the?
I had a couple smaller mixtapes, and that was a small tape. But I had a couple even smaller mixtapes. Like the first mixtape I ever put out was like 02, and you know, but it was local, man. Like 300 copies. You know what I mean? Trying to convince Beach Street to take it. Trying to convince the African on Fulton Street with the white tees to take it.
Right.
Take 50 copies, and if they don't sell in a week, come back and get them. Like, you know what I mean? All that type of thing. So yeah, just very, very local. Just getting my feet wet and putting the work in.
So around what time and what's happening when you start to get like some noticeable buzz, like people are checking for you? Like what was that? What was even that moment when somebody was like, "Yo, damn, like all right, it's about to be on."
The first time somebody hit me wanting to buy a verse, it was 2006, and I was buzzing off like Cloud 9, like with Ninth Wonder, because everybody was like, I never heard of this kid, but if he got a whole project with Ninth Wonder, he must be something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that was the selling point. Like I knew it was a win-win. I was a nobody, and people was gonna be like, I don't know who this kid is,
Right.
but he got Ninth Wonder beats. Let me check him out. Even if I don't like him, let me hear 12 new Ninth Wonder beats. And then you
Right.
press play, and you're like, yo, this kid is killing it. You know what I mean? And now you a fan. So it was a win-win for me. So I'm buzzing with that a little bit, whatever. And this is, when MySpace was everything. You check MySpace 40 times a day.
Right.
And I get a message on MySpace of somebody like, yo, would love to, do a record. I'm a fan. Would you be down to do a verse for $200? And I was like, hell yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like the first verse I ever sold was $200. Now, like, I'm not even, not to be funny, I'm not even replying for like, what? Like $200. But like, what was that? 14 years ago, like I was like, okay. And then that was it. So that was when I knew, wow, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I wanted to buy a verse off me.
How did you connect with Ninth? How did you
So in 2000, in 2004, the end of 2004, I met Sean Don. If you know Justice League, Little Brother and Knife and all them, Sean Don was one of the founding members. Sean Don is originally from the Bronx, but he went to college in North Carolina with LB and just stayed and whatever. So I met him back in New York through another friend of mine, and gave him the tape, whatever tape I had out at the time, whatever. And he took it back to North Carolina. And he was like, yo, y'all got to rock with this kid. Yo, I just met this kid, Skyzoo from Brooklyn. Yo, he nice, whatever. I still got a regular job. I'm still, everything is just regular. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, he was pumping me to them or whatever. And then he hit me one day, maybe a month or two later, and was like, yo, Heads want you to come to North Carolina for like a week and just work out. And I was like, hell yes. I got the flight and flew out to North Carolina. And I did like 14 joints with them. Joints that never came out, but it was like beats from Ninth and Crisis and for 10. And one of the records, Speed Racing, came out on Little Brother DJ Drama tape. We did that there. That was part of those sessions and all that. I was just working. What they would do is bring Heads to North Carolina and just work and see how the vibe was. You know what I mean? Like it kind of was like just like going to the park and just shooting. Let's shoot and mess around and play 21 and see what's up. You know what I mean? So it kind of was like that. And I went down there, and then me and Ninth built a super rapport. And then from there, that was 05. And like from there, every time he would see me, he would give me a beat CD. It became like a running joke. So if he was in New York or if he was whatever, if they had a show in New York, he would hit me. He always wanted to go sneaker shopping. He'd be like, yo, Sky, I'm in New York. Let's go to Flight Club. All right, boom. I meet him at Flight Club. We go shop, whatever. And he'd be like, yo, here, put that in your pocket. And there'd be a beat CD. So I had all these beats. And in 2006, I literally was bored. I was in the crib bored, nothing to listen to. And I just started going through all them beat CDs he had given me over the past year. And I was like, damn, why I never touched none of these beats? So I just started touching the beats, you know what I mean? So I did 9 records in 2 days. And then on my own in New York, I did 9 records in 2 days, didn't tell him about it, booked a trip to North Carolina 2 weeks later to get with him. Yo, I'm going to come down. Let's get in the lab. He was like, all right, word. And when I got there, I was like, yo, put this in your pocket. And it was a CD with the 9 records I did. And then the next morning he called me. He was like, yo, what the hell is on this CD you gave me? This is insane. And I was like, yo, you bumping it? He was like, yo, this is bananas. He was like, yo, meet me in the studio at 12 o'clock. I was like, all right. And then we did 3 more joints in one day. So that's how I became, 12 songs in 3 days, which was the way I marketed it. Like, yo, I did the whole thing in 3 days. So he didn't know about it. I did it on my own. And then he came in at the tail end of it. And when it was done, he was like, what do you want to do with it? And I was like, everything. And he was like, yo, go for it. I was like, yo, if I run with it, just stand behind it. He was like, absolutely. Like, yeah, it ain't like, because a lot of people was taking beats off YouTube and doing stuff, you know what I mean? But these was really from him. This was really something I did with him at the end, and something he knew about and he was involved with and he was a part of and he signed off on. So I was like, if I run, yo, you don't got to do nothing. Just stand behind it. I'll do all the legwork. And he was like, yeah, done deal. Let's go. And that was it. And that just snowballed because, again, everybody was like, I never heard of this kid, but if he got a whole project with Knife, he must be something. And that's how it just kind of snowballed.
you feel this is something that kind of just actually popped in my head. Do you feel like you are where you want to be and doing what you want to do career wise, or do you feel like there's other stuff that you want to accomplish, maybe musical style wise, or even notoriety, or you cool with just kind of being under the radar and just kind of, you know?
You know, I think the answer is yes to both. I'm real happy with where I am. You know, I've done a lot that a lot of people haven't been able to do. Um, a lot of people who came up around the same time, like there was this scene who, trying to make sure my joint don't act up. There was this scene back in 2005, 6, 7, of like the show scene. Everybody would do the showcases and the circuit, and you know, my man Jay Hatch, he had a circuit, and Don DiNapoli, and all these guys. Some of the people watching at home may know there was these every Tuesday showcases and da 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 da, and it was
Yeah.
great, and it was like a breeding ground for all of us. Yo, like 9 out of 10 of the people that was in them circuits ain't running around no more. They got regular jobs. They doing this. They doing that. Everybody was buzzing at the same time. It was like me, my man Torre, you know, a bunch of us. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people in it who was buzzing. Some was buzzing more than me or more than this one or that. Everybody was moving. You see this one on MTV or this one on BT. I'm just naming stuff. You know what I mean? You see people moving. And a lot of them ain't moving no more. And now it don't mean heads failed. Like some of them might have been like, I don't want to do this no more. I'm gonna do something better. That's cool, you know what I'm saying? But I really was able to turn this into something. I really was able to turn this into, you know, God forbid I die tomorrow. Like I'm confident my name is in the books. My name is in the history books of like, yo, he's one of the greats. You know what I mean? About what I've been able to do, but more importantly, how I've been able to touch people with the music and the consistency, right? Like everybody's always like, yo, you're the most consistent rapper, period. Like every project is out of control. Like there's no duds, there's no loopholes. There was never a night where you scored 8 points and shot, you know, 6 for 30. That didn't happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So I've done all of that. And then I've been able to turn that into having the career that I have, you know, monetarily and, you know, being able to make money, being able to provide for my family. I haven't had a quote unquote real job in 14 years, you know. Then the ghostwriting I do, I ghostwrite for some of the biggest artists on the planet. Like if people knew who I ghostwrite for, they'd be like, what? Like you write for who?
Right.
You on the phone every day with who? Like, you know what I mean? So being able to accomplish all of those things and do a whole album with somebody like Pete Rock and work all the different people I work with, Jill Scott and Spike Lee, and like I've made a hell of a thing out of this thing. But then on the flip side to what you were saying, there's always more. You know, there's always more you want to do. You know, you hear the stories. Michael Jordan would win the ring, go on vacation for 2 weeks, and come back home and get in the gym again, like if he lost. You know what I mean? There's always more. So I'm the same way. Like I want to create more, even if it's not music, you know, screenplays that I'm writing and, you know, just different things. I just want to always continue to be able to create and express what I want to express. Maybe it's not music. Maybe in a couple years I'm over music and I'm writing screenplays or novels. I don't know. You know what I mean? Right now I'm in a comfortable bag musically and I love it, but you never know where it's going to go, but there's always more, you know?
Have you ever like had a desire to make like a party banger? Like you just wanted to get something that's gonna slap in the clubs?
Sometimes, but I'm very big on like walking the line. You know, I feel like everything I built a rapport where, you know, I tell up and coming artists all the time, I'm like, look at it like if everybody knows to come to you for amazing soul food and one day they come to your restaurant and you selling Chinese, they're gonna be like, wait, what? I come to you for this. Right. If I want Chinese, I'll go to Kumcow. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I don't want Chinese food right now. I want soul food. That's why I came to you. You know what I mean? So you got to be careful because they may never come back to that restaurant. You know what I mean? So
it's true.
As an artist, you got to be careful. But I try to walk the line. Like I've had records that, you know, made noise on the radio. I had records that been all over MTV and all that stuff. And, you know, I've had those records without a radio budget, you know, and for the
Gotcha.
people watching who know or don't know about the business end,
Mm.
you know, a radio budget is everything. So I've had records all over the radio without a radio budget, where somebody like Enough and DJ Self and all them was just like, I got to play it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
I love the record. I got to play it. You know, like, so I've had those records, and I know how to make those records. I know how to make those records while I walk the line, whether it's Crown Holder or Luxury or Speakers on Blast or Give It Up or, you know, all the records that I've had that kind of do that thing. But, you know, like I said, I know where my bread is buttered at. You know what I mean? I know people believe in me and come to me for a certain thing. And as long as I'm being true to myself, I'm happy with that.
That's dope. That's dope. I think as an artist, I know we've all seen the documentary Fade to Black about, you know, the making of the Black Album and the concert. And there's this scene where they're like in the studio, and the kid, like Jay's kind of explaining, like, yo, I want, you know, is it wrong for me to want to like say this for these couple of bars, even though people are coming to me for this? And then there's the young kid, the young rappers there. He was like, yo, you know, it's hard. Like, I want to do this, but the people be wanting this. And
Right.
It's always amazing to me that any artist that can just stay true to themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for me, it's just about being able to look in the mirror. You know what I mean? Like, whatever I do, I got to be able to look in the mirror and be happy with it. And that's the old school in me. That's the old school Brooklyn in me and the era we came up in and whatever. This generation now might be a little different. Well, they definitely a little different. You see what's going on. But, you know, there's certain things we just won't do because we was raised a certain way, whether we made music or not. So whether I made music or I worked at, you know, McDonald's or I was on the corner or I had a corporate job, whatever, if I was in any role, I'm gonna move a certain way, you know what I mean? It's just a certain way that we're built, you know what I mean? So
100%.
for me, I gotta be able to look in the mirror. Like, I never want to make a record and then look back and be like, damn, I made that record. You know what I mean? Like, even if where I was then and where I am now, let's say I'm exponentially nicer now than I was in 2004. But I still don't want it to be a situation where it's like, damn, I made that. If anything, I'll be like, damn, I know where I was going on that. I'm just not as nice as I am now, but I was pretty nice, but I'm not where I am now.
Right.
But my message and my morals and my aura and all that was still the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I approach it the same way just with DJing, especially out here in Vegas. You know, there's a style out here in Vegas, and I've been fortunate enough to be here for 5 years now and not compromise how I approach.
That's beautiful, yeah.
DJing, you know what I'm saying? And it's tough because it's easy. I've had friends who were like, yo, I can't believe you went to Vegas. Like, that's not you. Like, they know what I do. And it's like, yeah, but if I can give them what I do, you know what I'm saying? It's not about the music, because at the end of the day, we all playing the same songs to a degree. You know, some might dig
same 50 or 100 records or whatever it is.
We all in the same thing, you know, depending on what room you're in. But there's a way that you can deliver this to the people that's going to help you stand out and be significantly different. So, you know, I completely understand. I completely relate with kind of just staying true to who you are. You mentioned ghostwriting. Has there ever been a song that you wrote for somebody that you was like, damn, I wish I'd have kept that for myself?
Nah, not a song, because when I ghostwrite, it's tailor-made. You know what I mean? So I can't write something for somebody and then wish that I kept it, because that's not my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
If example, if I was to write a record for you, the record would be about DJing. The record would be about everything that you about. So I can't turn around and be like, damn, I should have kept it, because that ain't my life. You know what I mean? I don't pitch records like, there is a style of that, and that's fine. You know what I mean? But I don't sit home and write a party banger and pitch it. All right, who wants it? Okay, so and so, you didn't want it. Okay, okay. Oh, you want it? I bet. It's tailor made. You come to me like, yo, Sky, working on my albums, I want to bring you in. All right, cool. I come in and we build and we converse and we kick it. You tell me what you're going through or what you want to convey or what you're looking for. And I write it in your voice, in your style, in your sound, and everyone would swear you wrote it. And to me, that's a successful ghostwriter, you know?
That gift right there is just amazing. I can't imagine being able to write in somebody else's voice. Like, that's not the skill set that I have. I can write for me. I cannot write for somebody else's voice.
And the trick too, because a lot of the ways that ghostwriting works is people think ghostwriting is I write everything on a piece of paper or on the phone and give it to the artist. Nah, you got to give the delivery. You got to give the flow, the pocket, because I could read it one way and you could read it another way on the same beat. So I got to show you. I can't just give you all the ingredients. I got to show you, put this much in at this point and then pour a little more of this at this point, and then 20 minutes later add this. So it's the same thing, you know what I mean? So I got to show you how to do it. So when I lay a reference down, what's called a reference track, the artist listens to it as if they were listening to a song on the radio. They just listen to it over and over and over until they learn the cadence, the pocket, the delivery. So I say all that to say, a lot of times I lay the reference down in their voice. You know what I mean? So I remember I was working with one artist, and I wrote a record for him, and, you know, I laid it down. Another totally different artist came in the session just on the humble and heard it and was like, yo, that new so-and-so record is crazy. And it was like, nah, he didn't lay it yet. It was like, who that? And everybody in the room pointed at me. It was like, you wrote that? And I was like, yeah. It was like, you did the voice too, sounding just like him? And I was like, yeah. And it was like, yo, give me your number. And they gave me their phone. And that's somebody I still pin for to this day. You know what I mean? That was 6-7 years ago. You know what I mean? So, like,
that's crazy. So, because one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I think it's super important, I had interviewed Tracy Lee also, and, you know, we were chopping it up, and we were talking about the important, like, he said, like, the most important thing for an MC is their voice, like their actual voice. And, you know, I always felt like the voice is, you know, I always felt it was one of the most important things, because it doesn't matter how talented you are as a writer. If you cannot deliver the vocal performance, it does not matter.
It's got to sound good, yeah.
It got to sound good. You have a very distinct one-of-one voice. Your voice, not only is it unique.
I get that a lot.
Yeah, it's not only is it unique in just its tone and its texture, and there are other artists like that, like a Joe Budden or a Jadakiss. It's like, as soon as you hear them speak, you don't need to see them. You know that it's them.
Know who it is, yeah.
You have a voice that, if I did not know you, I would assume that you were a rapper, because you have this texture,
a rap voice.
I almost feel like you've had this voice your entire life, like you sound
like maybe. I might have, maybe, man. I've been rapping so long, you know what I'm saying? Like, I started rhyming when I was 9, so, like, my voice might have developed into a certain cadence of, like, a melodic or whatever type thing. I don't know. I was rhyming before my voice changed, before it cracked. You know what I mean? So, like, it might have. I don't know. But, yeah, the voice is extremely important, though, man. Like, extremely. I mean, for me, I feel like the pen is the most important. But, you know, the actual sound and tone of your voice is right up there for sure. And the artist you named, for sure. I always thought Red Cafe had one of the greatest voices ever.
He does have a great voice. He does have.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And you can't control that. That's what God gives you.
Right.
God goes, here's how your voice is going to sound when you're 14. You know what I mean? Like,
right. And
that's
it. It's there. Like, when you talk, it almost sounds like a rhyme is about to come out. Even
people
when you're
always
talking.
Say that.
Because also, to your point, not just the tone, but your cadence and how you speak. Like, it doesn't change. Like, even look at LL, for instance. Like, when you talk to LL, almost, to me, when I talk to him, it sounds like it's the intro to the record. Like, he's about to
right.
the record.
Yeah.
And then when you talk, it almost seems like you're about to effortlessly go into this flow.
Right.
And clearly you're probably not even aware of it. This is just who you are.
At all.
But
I've heard that. People be like, Dad, you sound like you rhyming all the time. You know what I mean? And I don't even notice it. I'm just having a conversation.
It's a way, but it's your moneymaker. But it's also, you know, it's part of, like, your branding. Like, you know, Skyzoo, his voice is just as important to the impact he has in the game as his pen game, you know, and that's important. Yeah. And the fact that you can mimic to a point other artists that you're writing for, so they can understand, like, that's crazy.
Just selling the whole package, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just like, if I write for somebody from, I'll just pick a random city. If I write for somebody from, you know, Texas, I can't sound like I'm from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they may not see the vision. They might get it. They might be like, yeah, I know what you're doing. I know you're not from here. I'll take care of that twang. But they may not see that deep into the picture. So I gotta give the twang to them, you know what I mean, and at least attempt it, you know what I mean.
Right, nah, totally.
Respect that and be like, okay, I see where you're going with that, you know.
Yeah, man, that's a gift. God has blessed. It's weird. God has blessed me with great ears, but nothing there. Even though people say,
now your voice is ill. Your voice is ill.
People say that I have an ill voice, and they say they have a great voice. Like if I want to do radio, you and I have spoken.
Yeah, I never heard nobody sound like you. So that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
People say that all the time. I remember, no lie, in the 6th grade, about the 5th or 6th grade, this girl said this to me. It was the weirdest shit an elementary school girl could ever say to a boy. And I remember this because I went to PS11. So we're in the hallway, and a girl, and I think we might have been like dating or going steady or whatever it is that you do at the age. Right. So I spoke to her on the phone the night before, and she's like, "Yo, you have a voice." No lie, she said this. She said, "You have a voice like a sex phone operator." I said, "What?"
At 11,
At 11. And even at that young age, I was kind of like, "Yo, what do you know about a sex voice operator?"
Right, yeah.
You know, but I've, people have constantly spoken about my voice. Like, you'd be great for radio. You and I have spoken about, just about rhyming and writing and stuff. And I've never figured out a way to properly apply my voice and my tone to when I record. Like, I write, and I feel like I write fairly well, but then when I deliver it, it just doesn't come off the way I envision it in my head. And I damn sure can't sing. So it's just like, I got the ears, but
Yeah, it's just shooting jumpers, man. That's all. I mean, I'm 37, man. I started around when I was 9. I've been shooting jumpers a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, it's just shooting jumpers. It's the same thing. Just you go to the park every day. Ray Allen said, put up, 1,000 jumpers a day. Boom. You hit the joint over Tim Duncan at the buzzer. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it goes. You know what I mean? So it's just shooting jumpers.
Yeah. So we're talking about voices right now, and from the conversations that we've had in the past, and just seeing your kind of love and adoration for this particular artist, I can only imagine that he's had an impact even in the way that he plays. He's not a rapper or anything, but I know Miles Davis has a huge impact on who you are musically. And his voice is legendary as well. Just speaking. How do you? I feel like when I listen, I hear a jazz approach to how you deliver the rhymes. Does that come from Miles, or just like the jazz genre in general?
I would say so, but I don't do it on purpose. You know what I mean? I think it's just from listening to so much of it. It's not like I set out to say, yo, when I rhyme and the flow and the delivery, I want to make it sound like a trumpet with a mute on it. Like, nah, I just rhyme. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in the back of my mind, it's more so the guys I grew up on subconsciously impacted me. Nas, Jay the Kiss, the Locks. You know what I mean? Like, it's more of that subconsciously. But I think because I listen to so much jazz, without even knowing it, I'm hitting that type of wavelength because I listen to more jazz than hip hop. You know what I mean? Like way more. And that's not to knock what I do. I love hip hop. I love the culture. I love the music that our people have created and built. Well, we created jazz too, but like I love what our generation has built. But I just listen to more jazz than hip hop these days. For the past 7, 8, 9 years, maybe I've been listening to more jazz than hip hop. You know what I mean? So it's probably just seeping in subconsciously where to fall in certain things, the pockets and this and that, and the groove, and because of all the jazz I listen to.
Because I was listening to some of this stuff, and I was just like, yo, this dude sounds like a sax player, or like a sax player tone wise that's playing the trumpet's parts.
That's crazy.
Because there's a lot of times I'm listening and your cadence is so ill. It's like almost, it dances around like a trumpet that you might hear like on, not even in a jazz record per se, but something that you might hear in like something Quincy Jones produced, like from Michael. Like it's kind of like a lot of stabs and it kind of dances around. And
Like I'm big on pocket. You know what I mean? I'm big on like pocket, and flow and delivery is extremely important as an MC. Like, to me, the pen is the most important thing, but right up under that is the flow and the delivery. Like, if you sound horrible on the beat as far as where you sitting and where you coming in at, nobody gonna hear the greatness that you're writing and saying. Like, it's all about that pocket, man. Like that, knowing when to jump in, knowing when to jump out. It's like double dutch and jump rope. Like, all right, jump in now. All right, get out. All right, jump. You know what I mean? Like, that's an art and a sport within itself.
Yeah, man, it's amazing when I listen. I asked you earlier about your influences and how you put together rhymes and you put together words reminds me a lot of Ghost and Ray. And I know you mentioned them as part of your influences, but because what I appreciate so much about your music is that it comes from your experience, but you don't write it in a way for people who aren't from where we're from, for them to get it, just like Wu-Tang didn't write in a way for people who are not from where they're from to get it. It was almost like if you know, you know. Like there are a lot of cultural references, there are a lot of neighborhood references. And it's like in those references, it's not so blunt that it's like, oh, I get what he's saying. It's like if I mention this, unless you know about this, you won't know how I use this as a metaphor or a simile, variable for this rhyme. You have to know about that, and you don't necessarily. And that's what Wu-Tang was like. If you weren't aware of like 5% Nation, if you weren't aware of like just a lot of things that they talked about or their influences from, like Asian, like karate films and stuff like that, like you would have no idea what they were talking about. They would drop jewels and gems and you're like, what? Like, it's whatever. Now listen to your stuff, it's the same way. It's kind of like, I gotta be like, you said it, like, oh, okay, I get it. I know what he's talking about. I know that spot. I know that person. Or I know that scene. What, like, how did you, because I know you said like when you were younger, you kind of like in the crisscross and kind of like the kid phase. Like, at what point did you like intentionally go, this is how I'm going to write my rhymes?
I don't think there was a point where I said, all right, now it's time to flip on the switch. I think it was just constant elevation and growth as a writer, as an MC, whatever. But even still very early, you know what I mean? Because as a kid, you always think you're older than you are.
Right.
So, when I started rhyming at 9, I was listening to Crisscross and Chi and all that because that was the foundation and the jump off point. But I mean, by the time I was 12, I thought I was 20. You know what I'm saying? Like all of us, like I thought, I'm 12 listening to Illmatic and he's talking about, the D's on, bicycles in the projects. And, I knew about that coming from Evansville before I got to St. James. So like I related without relating. You know what I mean? I was 12, so there's only but so much I could relate to, but I understood it and I got it. So I say all that to say you think you're older. So I had already kind of graduated to, okay, I'm a real MC. I'm nice. I get busy. Yo, I don't care if I'm 12, 13. I get busy. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to get a record deal tomorrow. You know what I mean? And compete with those guys at 13 years old. Like that was my MO. You know what I mean? So I think it was just constant growth and elevation of what I was listening to and just pushing myself and pushing the envelope. A lot of those guys, like I said, man, and, by the time 9th grade hit and it was like Clue Tapes and the Locks, like the Locks was everything. Like I said in a record years ago, thought Jadakiss was Jesus. I just wanted to be the Locks. Like, you know what I mean? That's when I was 14. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was it. Every time I speak to Jada, because Jada's my man, every time I speak to him, I call him a superhero. I'm like, yo, what up, superhero? He's like, oh, come on. I'm like, nah, you my superhero, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so, all that stuff built this thing that people are hearing and people are seeing and gravitating to it. Like, there's a big ass gumbo pot of the Genius, Jada, and Nas, and Jay-Z, and Biggie, and da-da-da. Throw all that shit in the pot and let it sit for an hour. And you know what I mean? Like, that's what this is.
Right. I mean, you've clearly had some, like any artist that came out during that time, you've clearly had the most amazing influences that any MC could possibly have and to learn
Oh,
from
absolutely.
when it
Yeah,
comes to
100%.
I remember the first time I heard Jada, like I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Like the first
Right.
words was on it
Mm-hmm.
was on the You'll See track with
Right.
Big. And I was just like, yo, this kid is ridiculous. Like he's
Right.
insane.
Who is this? Yeah.
Who is this
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah.
So to have those, and I'm sure we had all those moments with, with Big and Jay and Nas and Wu-Tang, and for you to be able to
Mm-hmm.
learn from them, it's only gonna make you an amazing artist. Like you're not
That's
learning.
it. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, you said something earlier where you was like, yo, whatever you're influenced and inspired by is kind of what you gonna it's kind of how you gonna do it.
Yeah.
So like if you playing ball and all you watch is Jordan, you're gonna shoot like Jordan, i.e. Kobe, rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
like that's the way it's gonna be. So like I didn't say, yo, I'm gonna go out and try to around like this around. Yeah, I was listening to some of the greatest. I was listening to Big, Jay, Nas, The Genius, Ray, the Locks, Mace. I was listening to some of the greatest to ever do it.
Mm-hmm.
So of course that's what I'm gonna sound like. If I'm, I grew up a Penny Hardaway fan. You see the signed Penny joint right there. You know what I mean? So like when I played ball at Emerson, I thought I was Penny. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Right.
thought I was Penny. Every move I made, I came down the court with my left. I'm right-handed, but I came down with my left. I had the wristband on my left joint here. I had the wristband on my right here. And then came down, and I would cross, and I would go up and throw it around whoever back who jumped with me. I thought I was Penny. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it was, because that was my guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
that if you design clothes and you admire Ralph Lauren, Ralph is gonna be in your pencil when you're drawing. It's what it's gonna be.
Definitely. Definitely. So I want to get into, there's a ton of stuff that I want to get into, but I want to take this moment to kind of break down some of your lyrics, some of your lines, and kind of see if you
Okay.
could just explain what you mean. Because some of them, most of them I get and I understand, but some of them, there leaves a hole for a deeper meaning. So on, I meant to write down which songs they were on because I don't remember the names of all the songs. But one of your lines was, "I'm Luke Cage, but more related to Cottonmouth."
Yeah, that's off Baker's Dozen.
Baker's Dozen, which is one of my favorite tracks by far.
Appreciate it.
So what do you mean by that with that line?
Yeah. The good and the bad, like being a Luke Cage type individual, about the community, about my people, fists in the air, black pride, but I relate more to Cottonmouth because I grew up around more Cottonmouth individuals than Luke Cage individuals. Like there was more Cottonmouths for me to see than Luke Cages. So I'm Luke Cage, but more related to Cottonmouth. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what I'm on because this is what I believe in, but I understand these guys even more because I was around them more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. This was a line that, again, if you aren't culturally aware, and particularly of your history, you'll probably have no idea. People would have no idea what you're referring to when you say this. We got richer, you got Reaganed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's on Richie. And yeah, I feel like that one might be a little more self-explanatory for people. Talking about, the Reagan era that we was, young kids in, and call it even, we got Richie. Well, I was saying we got Richie, like Richie, from Rich Porter and Poe and all those. I was saying Richie.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was saying, call it even. We got Richie. You got no. That is Baker's Dozen. That's Baker's Dozen as well. I'm bugging. I'm thinking that was on Richie, but I'm saying I'm talking about Rich Porter. So I'm saying, call it even. We got Richie. You got Reagan. You know what I mean? So like, in that whole era, we had somebody we looked up to, and Rich Porter, and y'all had somebody y'all believed in Reagan. You know what I mean? So like, just the juxtaposition and the irony of those two, and how one created, not even impacted, but created the other. The Reagan era created the Richie Porters of the world, and but at the same time, as heinous as whatever was going on with Richie and what he was doing, he was somebody, for where we from, we was made to believe in that type of individual because of the success. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that's all I'm really talking about it. Yeah.
I guess I misheard it, because when I heard it, I heard richer.
Yeah, it sound like it could be richer. Yeah, we call it even. We got Richie, you got Reagan. Yep.
All right, this line right here is hard as hell. And when I heard it, I just kept rewinding it. Talcum on his middle finger, Malcolm on his trigger finger.
Yeah. That's Long Money. Talking about my pops again, kind of like what I was saying with the Luke Cage and Cottonmouth line, and I'm talking about my pops with this one. And I'm saying he was this, but he was also that. You know what I'm saying? Like he was this, but he was that. So talcum on his middle finger, meaning like cutting up, getting your hands dirty. You know what I mean? As far as outside, and then Malcolm on his trigger finger, meaning like at the window with the joint, by any means, standing up for what you believe in and Black Power, and because that was my dad. Like my dad raised me in somewhat of a Panther household without being a Panther. Like my pops wasn't a Panther, but he's not a Panther, but he believes in those ideas. You know what I mean, and those morals, and he raised me under that. But at the same time, he was outside getting his hands dirty. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I actually was in the studio today writing a record, and I mentioned some of that similar stuff in the record. You know what I mean? About what he was doing back in the day to provide for me when I was a kid. So I'm just saying, it's the irony of that, of being about this, but also being about that is just extremely ironic. And that goes into the whole sociology aspect that I was talking about earlier. Is just extremely ironic. But yeah, so that's that. Yeah, that's one of my favorite records too, is Long Money. Long was one of my favorite records I wrote.
When I was talking to Trey earlier, we were talking about Big and how what made him so special was that he was so efficient, and that he said more with less.
Yeah.
And I feel like with your rhyme style, I feel like you do the same, because with lines like that, there's so many layers to it to unpack in this space.
The conversation could go on forever.
Could go on forever, but you kind of paint it with this very basic, brush of just like, what you mean when you say Malcolm on his trigger finger. Like, what that means.
Right.
But there's so much that goes with that, right? And the same thing with the talcum on the middle finger. It's like, what it means, but there's so much to go with that. And when you pair them as a juxtaposition, now this now becomes like a college course. Now we're going to talk about, growing up.
Yeah,
Black,
this versus that, and right, absolutely.
It's amazing. It's a true gift. Let's all right, let's get into Honor Amongst Thieves, which is another dope record. Do you believe in honor amongst thieves and celebrate? Do you believe in honor amongst thieves and celebrating making it out in one piece? Or better yet, taking it out on who couldn't leave and everything relating to how you want it to be? Hope I delivered
that was a lot.
Justice.
No, you got it. You pretty much got it. That one was a lot. That whole record is loaded, man. So what I'm saying in the first verse, that's the beginning of the first verse. I'm talking a lot about cultural appropriation, people who don't look like us and aren't from the world we're from, taking our world from us and then telling us what's real in our world and what's not. And that's what I'm speaking about in that verse. And I'm asking them. The first verse is me talking to those people. Like, imagine if this was being done to you. Put yourself in our shoes. Imagine if this was being done. Do you believe in honor amongst thieves? Like, is there honor amongst thieves? Like, that's a whole different discussion that's been up forever. Right. Do you believe in honor amongst thieves or celebrating making it out here in one piece? So, like, on one hand, you got where we're from. It's like whatever it takes to get out, you got out. Whether you making this type of music or cooning or shucking a job, whatever. But then that's a whole nother conversation of, is that worth it, and why it is or why it isn't or whatever. Celebrating making it out here in one piece and all the stuff I said after that, or like, taking it out on who couldn't leave. Like, meaning you get stuck, So now you take it out on those around you, which is what we do where we're from.
Right.
Crabs in the barrel mentality and all that. Like, we take it out on one another. Would you move that way if you were in our shoes, is what I'm asking those people who don't look like you and I. You know what I mean? So
Right.
that's where all that goes. And then it gets way deeper and way layered. And that song was intense.
The majority of your music is loaded, and it definitely requires.
Oh yeah.
Even for the most astute listener of hip hop, it usually takes 2 or 3 listens to
you gotta pay attention.
The majority of what's happening, and
you gotta pay attention.
Yeah, because it goes by quick. It goes by quick. Yeah. That shit, you're like, wait, what? What was that?
Because when one is going by, there's another 2 on the way. You know what I mean? And I do that on purpose, man, for multiple reasons. You know, people ask me all the time, why do you write like that? You know, do you feel like you're giving too much away? Like, you could take some of that stuff and stretch it out over 3 songs. And I'm like, one, thank God I don't run out. Like, I'm good. Like, I can do that again tomorrow and do it again the next day. Like, it's fine. You know, the well is not dry. 2, I feel like as a fan and as a consumer, music comes and goes so quickly. You know what I mean? And you could listen to somebody's album one time and get it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
It was dope. I liked it a lot. I see what he did, or I see what she did. I see what they're about. Beautiful. I don't have to listen to that no more. I got it.
Right.
I want you to listen to my shit forever. You know what I mean? I want you to be like, I got to listen to it again. There's more to get. Because going back to what raised us, you know, man, we listened to Illmatic, and then years later, we still found stuff.
Yeah.
Reasonable Doubt, you listening to it, and then years later, you still found stuff. You know what I mean? So I am just continuing that and carrying that tradition, like on Retropolitan, as carrying that tradition and the baton and just taking it and running with it. Like, nah, you're not going to listen to my albums once. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do, there's no way you got it. You did not.
No way. There's no way.
I mean? I write a record and then hear it back and be like, damn, I said that? You know what I mean? Like, so you ain't going to get it. If you ain't right, I wrote it. And it caught me off guard. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
right.
Nah, you ain't going to get it on first listen. I know there's no way. There's a 0% success rate on getting it on the first listen. And that's beautiful, because now, as a consumer, you want to spend $9.99 on it, or you want to buy it, whatever it is, because it's worth it. You're like, yo, why buy this if I'm going to listen to so-and-so once and I got it?
Right.
I don't buy that. I can listen to it once to stream it and be done with it. Yo, that's Skyzoo. Yo, I've been listening to it. Yo, I've been listening to it every day for like a week. Yo, I'm still digging through. I'm still finding jewels, man. I'm finding Easter eggs. I'm still digging. Now it's worth your money. You know what I mean? Right. So that's 2. And then 3, the third reason, not to drag it on, but it's just, it puts you in a different echelon. It puts you in a different weight class. You know what I mean? Like, it separates the boys from the men to the bodybuilders. You know what I mean? Like, it's boom, boom, boom. Like, it puts you in a different weight class, man. And that's what I'm about, is being one of the greats and being in that weight class. You know what I mean? Like, that's because the guys ahead of me, that's what they was doing. So my goal is to be at that table with them always.
Yeah, we're gonna discuss what you were just talking about a little bit later. But I'll just say now that in the discussion of hip hop, I always say rap music is the only genre in the entire world where your ability to creatively express yourself with word is what separates you from everybody else. It's the only genre where your ability to be creative with how you deliver these words is what makes you special, what makes the consumer spend money. It's not like the singers don't need to know how to write. They don't need to write. They get paid
It's
for
about
their
vocal
performance. Right. MCing, being a rapper or MC, like all you have that makes you special is your ability to create words. And do it, not create words, but create, to deliver words in a creative way. And if you can't do that in a unique way at the very best, then like, why are you here?
What's your purpose?
Yeah, what's your purpose? So you definitely handle that. We're going to get into some affiliations right now. I know you brought up Justice League before. Are you like official like Justice League member? or is it just
No,
the
no, those
producer?
are just my peoples. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, those are just my peoples. I'm like the distant cousin at the barbecue family reunion. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
those is my guys, though. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to Fonte yesterday from Little Brother. Like those is my guys. You know what I mean?
Fonte is another one who has an amazing voice. Like
Amazing
his vocal
voice.
performance is like
Yeah,
amazing.
amazing pen and has his own writing style. Like the way he writes, like starting the bar here and then
Mm-hmm.
going all over and then finally coming back up. You know what I mean? Like to
Yeah.
connect it. Like you start here and you go, and then boom, go back up. He created that style and it's awesome. So yeah, he's super great.
Super, super tough. Um, so Duck Down. Were you signed to Duck Down?
Yep. First full on record deal I ever had, because when I did Cloud9, that was just, a distro thing with Traffic. Duck Down was the first record deal I ever had. So those are my guys. I'm not signed to Duck Down no more. I fulfilled my contract, a couple albums, whatever. But those are my guys, man. I speak to Drew and Noah and them all the time. And I'm always like, yo, whatever y'all need, I'm here. You know what I mean?
Right,
Whether
right.
it's a concert for P, rest in peace, or whatever it may be, like, I'm a call away, baby. You know what I mean? Like, that was my first record deal ever, and I will always be indebted to them one way or another.
See, and how did that record deal come about?
Just being on the scene, man. Just me being on the scene and bubbling or whatever. And I remember, like, I was, real cool with Sean Price for years,
Mm,
because I'm on the Jesus Price Superstar album that came out in '07, but we
mm,
recorded in '06 or '07, but we recorded the record we did together for it in '05. And I actually met him through Ninth and Justice League, and we was in North Carolina together at the same
mm,
time. And we just built, and I was a fan, of course, and whatever. Um, and I remember P was pushing for it. So
mm,
P was talking to Drew and Buckshot like, yo, we got to sign Sky. Like, y'all
mm.
got to do it. Sky got to be on the team. And if he's not, we're going to be upset if he goes to another team. It's like, yo, y'all better sign Kevin Durant, because if he go to the Knicks, you're going to be mad. You know what I mean? It was like that type of thing. It was like,
Right.
yo, y'all better grab some, because if somebody else get him, you're going to be mad. And he was on them. And Drew and Buck was like, nah, we want to do it, bro. Like, we're going to do it. Like, we love him. We're going to do it.
Right.
And P was like, yo, y'all better do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was on them. So we had a meeting or whatever, and it went dope and everything was good. And then on the flip side, I was, working with Ninth at the time, and Ninth was like, yo, I'm about to start a label called Jamla,
Mm,
whatever. He was like, yo, would you be down to be like the first artist, like the flagship artist? And I was like, yeah, bro, like, you've been giving me beats forever and letting me
mm,
rock and do this, that, and yeah, let's go, whatever you need.
mm.
It's like, yeah, I kind of want to do like a Biggie Puffy thing, in my own way, like you be the guy and I'm the producer, like kind of just have my own thing finally and really just go. I helped him pick the logo, all that, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, so moving forward, he was like, yo, man, I'm about to get this distribution deal with Duck Down for Jamla. And I was like, well, that's funny because I just got offered a deal from Duck Down.
Mm.
So it just made sense. It was,
Right.
oh, this makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just do it together. And that was that.
That's dope. That's dope. So talk about you and I in the past have talked about it. And once again, rest in peace to Sean Price.
Yeah.
Amazing MC, solely
Another
known
guy
in
who's
this
just
industry.
so great and elite.
Yeah. So talk about your relationship, because I know you guys were close, and I remember around the time
Yeah.
you passed, you and I had spoke, and I know it kind of hit you hard. So just kind of talk about that relationship.
Yeah, P was great, man. P was an awesome MC, but an even better friend, man. P was great, man. To be in his house, eating all his food and all that. Like, P was great, man. Like, P would call you and be like, he'll text you or hit you on Twitter. He'll hit you on Twitter, be like, yo, Slum, call the crib. Like, he'll just be, yo, Slum, call the crib. All right, I call the crib. Yo, Slum, what up? Yo, what up? What's good? Yo, peep the new shit and put the phone to the speaker and play the record. Something new that he just laid down. Yo, what you think? What you think? I'm like, yo, that shit is crazy, bro. It's crazy. You fuck with that? Yeah, that shit is crazy. But he'll hear an artist. He'll hit me. Yo, Slum, call the crib. So I call the crib, and then yo, you heard of so and so? And I'll be like, nah, I never heard of son. Yo, look up his shit and call me back. Look up his shit and listen to it. Tell me what you think and call me back. All right, hear the shit. Call him back. Yo, y'all peeped it. Yo, what you think? Oh, whatever. Yeah, right? Because I don't know. I was listening to that shit too. And I don't know. I wasn't crazy about it, but I wanted to see what you thought. You know, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy, man. The last conversation we had, bro, he, what was the project? The project that came out after, I think it came out after he passed. He had a record, I think it was called Bobby McFerrin or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the joint was like a Bobby McFerrin sample that he was rhyming over. But he had told me before he passed that he was doing that. He was like, yo, I just rhymed on this Bobby McFerrin shit, something like that. And he was like, yo, like you inspired that. And I was like, what you mean? He was like, all the jazz shit you be doing. And I was like, word? He was like, yeah, all the jazz shit you be doing, man. Like, whatever. He was like, yo, we should do a whole fucking Skyzoo, Sean Price jazz mixtape, just rhyming over jazz samples. And I was like, word? He was like, yeah, you pick all the jazz samples and we get somebody to flip them shits and me and you just do like 5 joints. And I was like, hell yeah, that should be great. You know what I mean? And that was the last time I spoke to son, you know what I mean? Like, where he was inspired by my Sunday morning jazz posts and all that. And he was like, yo, we just do like 4 or 5 songs. You pick all the jazz samples because that's your world. We get somebody to flip them shits and we just kill them. And I was like, yeah, that shit is fucking awesome. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, son was great, man. He was great. We used to tour together. He taught me how to pack for tours. I used to pack really horribly for tours, and he taught me how to do it, how to consolidate and pack less. And he was like, yo, man, he came to my room. We was on tour. I don't remember where the fuck we was at. We was on tour. He came to my room to get something, and I had 2 huge duffel bags, and he was like, what the fuck is all that? And I was like, yo, it's all my stuff. We've been on tour for like a month. He was like, why you got so much stuff? I was like, bro, we've been on tour for like a month. What are you talking about? He was like, yo, why you got 8 pairs of sneakers? I was like, cuz, I got to get fly every day on stage. He was like, nah. He was like, you bring 2 pairs of kicks, 1 fly pair and 1 kick arounds that you just beat up. And he was like, all the clothes you bring, base them around the fly pair. And you bring 1 pair of kicks, the fly pair, just whatever you bring, all your clothes match that. You know what I'm saying? And the other pair is just your kick arounds for when you on the tour bus and go to the gas station, whatever. And that's that. And then he was like, yo, you got mad laundry and all that. I was like, yeah. He was like, yo, go to Fulton Street, go to Notion Ave, get the cheap boxes, get the cheap wife beaters, the cheap white tees from the Africans. Throw them shits away every day after you're done with them. Just rock them, throw the shits away, and open up a new one. And I was like, word. And ever since, that's what I've been doing for 10 years now. That's what I've been doing.
That's crazy.
Stupid shit like that. Like, he was awesome, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was a really, really good guy. I met him once. I actually interviewed him. Oddly enough, my uncle is in Boston, and he had like a music show similar to Video Music Box called Music Mania. So he couldn't be in New York, and I don't know if I think this was around the Iron Mike. What was the album that he did? Iron Mike.
Mike Tyson.
The Mike Tyson album, and so he was like, "Yo, can you go and interview?" It was Sean Price and a couple other people. So I was like, all right, cool. So I went, and I remember asking him because I was like, "Yo, you dudes like hilarious. Like you guys are really funny." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But like I know you guys. Like I know where you come from. I know who you run with. Like you guys are around like real certified like killers.
You guys are a certain breed. Yeah.
Funny on record, and he was like, dude, he was like, killers laugh too. He was like, yo,
right.
Run around angry all day, like we're just people or whatever. But just in that conversation with him, I could just see how genuine of a guy he was, and how like real he was. There was no facade. There was no extra. Like what you see is what you got from him. You know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, he was the best, man. He was the best.
Let's get into. Let's see what I have down here. We talked about Miles. We talked about Sean P. What does hip hop mean to you?
Oh man. To me, hip hop is what it means. Rather is a voice for a generation, for a people, for generations to come moving forward. You know, it's not something that just reflects one thing, right? Like there's subgenres that reflect one thing. You had the dubstep type shit in hip hop. You had the trap shit or the snap shit or the this or that. Those represent one moment, but hip hop overall, it represents a culture and a people and a way of thinking and a way of living, a circumstance, and it's impacted and influenced everyone and everything. Like we're at a point now, we've been at this point for maybe 5-6 years. You cannot do anything without seeing hip hop's influence.
At all.
You can't watch a Kmart commercial. You can't watch a episode of Daniel Tiger that my son loves. You can't do anything without hip hop's influence in it. And it's so funny because, you know, you circle back to 85, they was like, oh, this is a fad. You know, this ain't going to be around. This don't mean nothing. This is a 5-10 year thing max. This is nonsense. Here we are almost 40 years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it runs the world. It has surpassed country music as the biggest genre and cultural influencer and impact on the planet.
Yep.
So,
yeah, it is amazing. I always often tell people, like when I have hip hop conversations, you know, for us, you know, certain people of a certain age, I probably say youngest 35, but like 35 and up, like we pretty much know what it's like to live in a world where hip hop isn't the dominant culture. It isn't everywhere you turn, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing, like, and this kind of segues into the next question about what do you feel the current state of hip hop is? How do you feel about it? Because when I listen to hip hop today, listen to hip hop music. So let's clarify for those who are watching. Rap music is the music of the hip hop culture. Hip hop itself is a culture. Rap is the music within it. But since its inception, and like you said, subgenres, there's so many different variations of what you would call rap or even hip hop music today. But for us growing up, all of the people that we listened to, all the people that we looked up to, all the people we inspired to, their influences came from outside of the culture. Because what they listened to, what they had was before hip hop even existed. And on top of that, hip hop was always very much integrated into whether it be, you know, reggae music and calypso, whether it be, you know, Latin stuff, like these, you know, these communities outside of what people know today as hip hop have heavy influence, rock music, punk rock scene, all of that stuff. And today, these artists are pretty much, their influences are their peers or themselves. Like they aren't really grabbing outside of the world. There's only a handful that are doing that, and those are clearly the elite artists, the Kendricks, the Drakes, the J. Coles, you know, the YMP Cordays, and like the ones who are really, really, really like tapped in to the culture. They, you know, they listen to other things. With like, how do you see the culture today? How do you see it like as it stands?
I think the beauty of it is being able to have the options. Like, you know, it's not only what's on the radio or only what's on TV or only what you're fed. You know what I mean? It's being able to find an artist like myself by turning on the computer or turning on your phone or digging through, you know, whatever crates or wherever you get your music, or your people sending you a link or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's the beauty of it now, because it's in a great space because of the availability of options. You know, like if it was only about radio and TV, then we would be where people complained it was, you know, 15, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? But the fact that you can never turn on the radio and still get everything you want, but never turn on the TV and still get everything you want is huge. So it's in a cool space because there's more than just one funnel to go. There's more than one door to run through, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because we're kind of in the same space, but we're in different places within this whole industry thing. So me being a DJ, right? You mentioned about having so many choices and so many options, rather. And what I've come to discover is that it's very disheartening to me that people have so much access to so many different artists and so many different types of music and don't exhaust it or even attempt to exhaust it.
Mm-hmm.
For us growing up, the only way we would know about new artists and new music is whether it was on a mixtape or, your cousins down south will send you something, or somebody, family, they will put you on and stuff. But
Absolutely.
we didn't have easy access because, like you said, it was the radio or music videos. And then what you heard on mixtapes wasn't stuff that you would hear at parties or stuff like that. That was just more so just the mixtapes, artists kind of showing off their skill set. But now today, between, Spotify, YouTube, Tidal, Pandora, all you have to do is put in one
it's like limitless,
Yeah, all you have to do is put in one artist or one song, and then you'll discover a million other ones. But as a DJ, I'm out, and I'm constantly like trying to put people on. And I'll admit, maybe it's because I'm here in Vegas, and how the scene is set up. It's not set up for the culture, particularly on the Strip, for the culture to kind of exist within all this pop stuff. And when I'm like playing stuff like dope stuff that you should know that works with whatever I'm playing at the time, and they're just kind of like, what is this? And I just feel like people's relationship with music today is based on popularity as opposed
100%,
as opposed to a feeling, because music is spiritual, music is energy. You should be able to hear a song that you don't know and automatically connect to it, right? I tell people all the time that you never like the song that you never heard before. Like, you don't like it until after you hear it, right? But you have to hear it first. And people don't like anything that's given to them without the adequate cosign or packaged in a way to make,
absolutely.
That troubles me, it troubles me less about the music that's being put out, and as opposed to how people are connecting to music, how they're digesting music, how they're relating to the music,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's weird. So every time I'm like, I have conversations with artists, and the artists are going to have their point of view, which is very much justified. And I'm like, as a DJ, like, I'm telling you, like, I know there's a ton of music out there, but I'm also telling you, people aren't looking. They're not looking.
Yeah.
They're not looking.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's super crazy. So this podcast and this interview, as much as it is about culture, it's very much current events. And right now we're in a hell of a time to be alive, dealing with COVID-19 and the quarantines and the lockdowns. It's had an impact on all of us performing artists, because we cannot perform in the traditional sense. We can't go out and be amongst the people. And, there's a fortunate few of us who are finding alternative ways to perform and receive some sort of compensation for it. How do you feel? Because after this, I've always said, after this, nothing's going to be the same. Nothing.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
How do you see what we're going through now with this COVID-19 affecting the industry going forward, and how you go about making your money, especially when it comes to touring?
I don't know, because like you said, it's going to be a while before, not the people will be comfortable, because as Americans, we just want what we want, and we have a holier than thou sense, and we'll be all right. It's not going to affect, you know what I mean, with that. Like, other countries may not be as much, but with that, no, we'll be fine, man. But people who have something to lose economically, like, we opened up Barclays Center too early, and 5,000 people died from Corona, and we got lawsuits. Whoa, we got to chill. So shows and stuff, it's going to be a while before those types of people are comfortable, I think, saying, all right, let's book a show where 30,000 people can be in there coughing on each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it could be a little while, man. And that sucks, like, that really, really sucks, because we're performing artists, and me personally, I make my bread at a show coming in the door and going out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get paid when I come in to do the show. I get paid on the way out when I sell merch. You know what I mean? I make my money 2 ways every night on tour. So it's crazy. You know what I mean? It really, really is crazy, man. Like it's wild, you know. But I mean, the most important thing is the health of the people. But if we're just talking about the business aspect and as the industry, like you said, I don't know. I mean, that part I kind of get where that's going to go with the shows, but as a whole, I don't know, man. I think we're all in for some kind of moment to see, a moment of clarity, and like we're all going to be surprised and waiting for the answer at the same time, you know?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know what's going to happen. I know it's going to be a long road. We have a long road ahead of us. I know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know, unfortunately, because how I make my money. And here's a really tough part. Like I said, you know, I'll do lives on IG and Facebook, and you know, my fans and supporters, they'll bless me a little bit. It's, you know, at the end of it, it all sums up to be pocket change, but I'm very appreciative of it. You know, it's not the money that I get normally when I work, but I appreciate it because they don't have to do that, especially when a lot of them, you know, some people are working from home, some people aren't
struggling
income either, right? So,
right.
The thing that I'm concerned about is that I don't know, I don't have a choice to be picky because this is how I make my money, but I also know that I'm not going to be so gung-ho even when that first club opens or when that first event goes and they book me to be there. I don't know if I'm going to be like, I really want to be there. I'm treating this like post-quarantine. I'm treating that like when the new phone comes out. I'm going to let everybody else buy the first joint.
Right. You know what it is?
And then I'll come back later.
I say the same thing because that first 2 weeks, when they say, yo, not when it's a test, but when they say, yo, we're good, like how China is, yo, we're good, we're open. That first 2 weeks, bro, it's gonna be so many clappings and so many. It's gonna be insanity, B. Like I'm cool, baby. Like it's gonna be insane. Every club is gonna be out of control.
Yep.
It's gonna be ridiculous. Like I'm cool. Let that die down. Like you said, like the new phone. Y'all get the kinks out. You know what I mean?
I get the kinks out, man. When y'all finish that, I'll be here. But it's just tough because it's like I'm not making the money that I'm used to making, now. And it's kind of like, I don't know how long this is gonna last, but I just know I'm tapping into what I got. So like at some point it's gonna be like, damn, I guess I gotta go do this. And I'm just, I can't say that I'm looking forward to it. Like you want the best case scenario for everything to be right, and everything to be okay. But I just don't know if that's going. I don't know what that's going to look like, what it's going to feel like. I don't even know if the talent buyers are going to be offering the same money because they've lost so much money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So now you're risking your health for a smaller bag. It's going to be tough.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy.
It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. I'm going to get back to music. You've worked with some amazing folks in the industry, from Sean P to Pete Rock, Ninth Wonder. Who are some of the other people that you've worked with, notable people that the public may not know about? And are there any artists that you haven't worked with that that it would be a dream for you to work with them, but you're also actively working to kind of make this happen?
Yeah, I mean, the people you named, and then you add people like, Jill Scott and Raheem Devon, who I work with all the time, and John Legend I've worked with, and, Talib Kweli, Black Thought, and Jadakiss, the Locks as a whole, Styles and all those guys, and, working with the likes of, who else? I mean, it's been so many people, man. It's every time I have to name people, I feel bad because I forget so many of them. And they be the ones that I shouldn't forget.
Right.
Like, yo, you worked with so-and-so, right? And I'm like, that's right. You know what I mean? Like, and that would be like the biggest name, But I just been blessed and fortunate enough. My talent and all that took me there, and it's a blessing from above for sure. As far as people I want to work with, I mean, guys like Q-Tip and Pharrell and people like that.
Okay.
There's certain people I haven't worked with yet that I'm in sync with, or I'm in the loop with, or we got mutual things going on. There's certain people who I've never been in the same room with. But if I was to pick a card out of a box and say that's the card I would want it to be. So it's just all been a dope ride, man. But if I never worked with anyone else of a name, quote unquote, I'm good because I've worked with almost all of them. You know what I mean? So I'm
Right.
good. I'm at the point where when you first starting out, you're getting your name up and everything. So you listen to the beats and you say, okay, I gotta get a beat from so and so. I gotta get a beat from so and so because I need the names. I need the yo, yeah. You know what I mean? I need that. But then you build yourself to a certain point. Now I'm just like, I don't care who the name is. Like I'll look in everybody on who I'm writing beats. Everybody whose beats I'm writing to for another project, they'll all have regular jobs, and it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Okay.
no one knows this kid. No one knows that kid. Doesn't matter because the sound they created is exactly what I want.
Okay.
So I'm good. You know what I mean?
What about collabos, like artists, not just from a producer standpoint, but like
I don't know. I always draw a blank until I hear that artist, and I'll be like, yeah, I wouldn't mind working with it. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I'm open to so many different things just because of the type of music that I grew up on and my musical palette. Like I'm not just if it ain't this type of thing, nah, you know what I mean? Like I'm able to see a lot of different things musically and figure out a way to make it work with what I do. Bring them into my world instead of me trying to go in theirs and you Lady Gaga, you make this type of record? Okay, Katy Perry, you make that? Nah, like bring you into my world or we meet in the middle of the street, you know what I mean?
right.
And figure this out.
That's dope. I know for me sometimes like um I'll have moments where it's kind of like, yo, I can't believe I just worked with that person. And that's more
Mm-hmm.
so from not looking at my talent and not that I don't feel like I've earned that spot or earned that opportunity, but just always constantly being a fan of the arts and being a fan of the music. I've shared the same bill as DJ Scratch, and every time I'm just like, yo, like, that's Scratch, or like,
Right.
I've worked with just a ton of DJs, or even gotten love from like big name DJs, and I know for me as a DJ, like I only really care, not that I only really care, but the kudos that I get from my peers or contemporaries or legends in the game, but we are in this fraternity of DJs. The props I get from them far outweighs any props I get from fans. Like if I'm honest, because when I DJ, it's almost like I'm DJing to impress them. And of course, they're going to notice things that the average fan or
that
average
the fan won't.
just
Yeah,
not
I think we all feel that way. You know what I mean? Like when I get, love from, guys that I grew up on and all that are just like, yo, you a legend. Yo, this album was a classic. That album was a classic. Yo, the new joint, whatever. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, you feel like I belong.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. I belong at this table. You know what I mean? Like,
Do you have any artists that you work with, anybody that you was just like, that you walked away, and even if it was like maybe the first time, but you walked away like, yo, I can't believe I just did a project with so and so.
Pete for sure.
Pete?
Pete. Once we started working, you know what I mean. It was like, damn, we really about to do this Skyzoo Pete rock album. You know what I mean? Like, Pete for sure. Working with Black Thought, working with Jada, working with, with Jill. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. We're getting towards the end of this. I just want to make sure I didn't skip anything that I've wanted to definitely talk about, because we've been having good convo, but I don't want to lose sight of some of the topics that I definitely want to touch. At the end of pretty much all the interviews that I do here on the Loop, I have two important questions that I ask. So, we constantly talk about culture and in culture, particularly Black culture and particularly hip hop culture. Top 5 is like an ongoing conversation. When I did the interview with Ralph, I did kind of stick to it, the top 5, MCs of all time. But the Loop is about culture. It's about culture at large. So I don't want to limit you to that, even though I definitely would love to hear who your top 5 MCs of all time are. But I would like to know who are your top 5 artists of all time.
Oh man, artists: Miles Davis, Jay. I think Pharrell got to be in that artist conversation because of how many different things he can do. Mike, I'm bugging. Michael Jackson, of course. You could say Coltrane.
Okay.
Say John Coltrane. Yeah, that's 5. I'm cool with that.
Okay. And what about your top 5 MCs?
In no particular order: Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, Mos Def, and then the 5th one is always a tie between like Black Thought and Andre 3000 and Scarface, shit like that. But I probably lean towards Thought.
Okay.
Because Thought's an animal. So yeah. But yeah, in no particular order. It's just 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a solid 5. That's a real solid 5. I think Black Thought is left out far too often, probably just due to
because of the group shit. Yeah.
The group shit, and it also just there's people who have top 5s who aren't really kind of ingrained in the culture. So, the roots aren't known for like mega smash hits and crossover songs and stuff like that. They're they're in a different lane. But if anybody's ever listened to Black Thought,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It just goes back to what you're saying. Like when you're thinking about, greatest MCs, top 5, whatever, the first thing you think about is, their body of work. And even though he is the only vocalist in the band and in the group, you see them as a group. You see the roots. You know what I mean? Like you see the roots. You don't see Black Thought, whatever that. You see the roots. So I think that's why, and it's not fair because he's fantastic, but it's because of the group umbrella is so large. You know what I mean? That's why. But he's out of control.
He's a monster. He's an absolute.
He's out of control. Yeah.
Absolute monster. All right. So the name of the show is The Loop. So I always want to ask my guests, name. It could be either one song, one artist, or one album that you can listen to on constant loop all day, every day.
One, I would say Miles Davis, Kind of Blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a
one. Yeah.
That's a tough one. And for those who don't know, if you don't mind me saying, his love for Miles extends to his own heir, in which he is
absolutely
named the son Miles.
Absolutely.
So, that speaks to the value and the impact that he has on your life.
100%.
Brother, I appreciate you so much for taking our time.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's true love, and I'm glad we was able to sit down and kick it and build and, get it going.
For sure. Is there anything you got going on now that you want to kind of share with the people, let them know?
Yeah. April 24th, I'm releasing an EP called The Bluest Note. It is a jazz hip-hop fusion EP. It's myself and a band named Dumbo Station based out of Rome, Italy. Went to Italy last summer, 2019, for a week and did the whole project. It's 6 songs. It's an EP. The whole thing is them being a jazz band and then me kicking these St. James Gates and Green rhymes. You know what I'm saying? Like over jazz, hip-hop fusion instrumentation all live, all played out. I actually wrote and co-wrote, a lot of the arrangements, if not all the arrangements.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, like the musical arrangements with them. So like, just putting together this, okay, let's do the bass like this, let's do the drums like that, let's do the keys like this, let's do the, all the different things. And it's beautiful, it's awesome. 2 singles out right now, Good Enough Reasons. And We Used to Live in Brooklyn, Baby, which I kind of redid Most Def's Brooklyn, which is, the Roy Ayers joint. Where most Brooklyn, and I'm talking about what Brooklyn currently is. It's like an updated version of it.
Yes.
What it was, and now we here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's fully about gentrification. I pretty much put gentrification in the shooting range and got busy. You know what I mean?
Which is something that's needed. Something that's much needed.
Yeah, people are going nuts on it. Everybody's like, yo, this is insane. Like, this is amazing. So, and I appreciate all that. So I say all that to say, the project comes out this upcoming Friday, April 24th. Skyzoo, Dumbo Station, The Bluest Note comes out this Friday, April 24th, like a week from now. And it's everywhere that you get music, everywhere that you stream and purchase and whatever. So that's what's on deck. That comes out in less than 7 days.
Dope, man, dope. I'm glad that you're staying creative. I know you and I spoke, excuse me, offline, just about how tough this quarantine has been on our kind of creative motors and needing to kind of get things done and it being difficult to kind of get things done. So even though this is something that you did last summer, just still kind of in the pocket of kind of being creative and writing.
Oh yeah, it's exciting to finally get it out, and I'm wrapping up my next solo album, which is going to come out towards the end of the year. So I'm still in the trenches of writing and recording and mixing and all that for that project. And but right now, if I had to, if the fans or anybody listening had to check for one thing, it's right now The Bluest Note, April 24th, everywhere that you get your music, and it's a hip hop jazz mashup fusion, and it's awesome.
Dope. Well, again, man, I appreciate you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Skyzoo, pen extraordinaire, my Brooklyn brother, my Clinton Hills fan, all day.
You know it.
And it's good to have, I think for as long as you and I have been in this industry, it's good to have like genuine friendships. I think, we come across so many people who would kind of, I need this, give me this, or want this, or only reach out to you. They need this and need that. And, you and I are both diehard Knicks fans. So we, during the season, we tapping in with each other, like checking each other's posts as you almost kill yourself.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
All that stuff and checking in on each other's fam. And like, of course, the wife I've known forever, and she, she's fam. Right. So we've established something great, and I appreciate it so much. And man, I will catch you on the flip side.
Yeah, man.
We'll continue to talk later. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been The Loop. I will catch you next time. Peace.